whether we go to them or not, I just don't think, after sitting through either of those meetings, that, Joe Davis County is a very prime, candidate for them.
Yeah, especially
large
today,
name.
yeah.
Yeah, the grid is so important.
Maybe that'd be a use for the factory building down here in the corner. With a small, next to the river, with water.
Well, they said the cost of using river water is so much higher than that. That's why they want to hear what Michigan, because that fire's under and ready to go.
I think the hail lights on the right.
I just saw it.
I don't know. I don't hear anything about
When
it.
I was a kid, man, I remember walking over aisles and dish. It was so dry.
Did like the foxes did about 30 years ago, they got so thick that they got diseases and kills them all off.
We have a family in my neighborhood.
They're making some comeback,
Yeah. That's okay.
pretty much out of the city.
I don't know what they eat, so.
Chickens if they get them.
We used to have chickens. We had rabbits in our yard. I can't believe we have that. We have 90 dog.
We have 6 turkeys that are bound and determined they're gonna peck into my door window.
The smaller ones are tastier.
I wish we only had 6 turkeys. We have so many turkeys. Really? Yeah, oh, it's.
Families of them.
Yeah,
Where?
we have- in my backyard.
You don't live in town anymore.
Yeah,
What?
yes.
I thought you had a deer problem, not a turkey problem,
Oh,
you know?
The older name.
Deer problems. No, I have 3 to 4 adults always. And then I have anywhere from 10 to 12, 13 babies, but in different stages of development. Nuts,
Oh, turkeys.
turkeys. I know what turkeys are, Mike.
No, I know you do, I just kidding.
Do you know the old high school in Galena? Do you know where that is?
Yeah, but no,
Okay, but the back of it is, a block from 20. There's probably 25 turkeys of them back there, and they're always crossing the street.
None of them are citizens.
is someone beat them? What do they live on?
They
They
like
will
bugs.
eat bird seed and they will eat.
They will, yeah.
Well, hard plants.
Yeah, I don't have any in my yard, but 3 blocks away. I have a deer.
I
And the
have,
fox.
I have a deer too. Fox not so much this year. We had more rabbits this year. You can kind of see it ebb and evolve.
Yeah.
Like, we'll go a year or two, not a lot of rabbits, but then you see a lot of fox.
Yeah.
Then you say, oh, we used to have owls, and I thought, we have owls.
We have one that I hear every night. And a lot of woodpeckers, so.
A lot of woodpeckers,
um,
a lot of raccoons. Well, I don't have.
We don't have
and that's
any
what- We don't have any.
Once, Jeanette Hartman died, and she stopped eating them. All the raccoons for that. She would just.
It's cool in this room.
On corn.
Not in yours?
Oh, no, it's awful in mine. It always is in the summertime.
Well, you have the sun out.
Yeah, it just cooks in there. I have fans going, well, one, and then they turn the lights off a lot of times.
So.
You put a paint on the hallway to blow air in. Is that?
No. I don't have such things.
So I'm at the.
Mm. Find a business, I'll get them signed up. Take one of those.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You don't pass those around, find me a business. Find me a business. It's like in a church, find me a business. Here, I'll give one to you too.
Find you one?
Yep, find me a business in Galena. We got 24 signed up already.
Did you already talk to Ryan? Okay,
From,
from, Boyd and.
Oh, no, actually, no.
He would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, he's teaching, but he was, yeah, he'll do it,
Yeah.
and he'll be great with the
Yeah.
kids, so, yeah, Ryan.
I was.
And that's not even all of them.
Well, it's like,
Turkeys?
Yeah,
yeah, Thanksgiving, have me ready.
yeah, can you do that?
But you can't shoot firearms in town.
And,
That doesn't mean you can't capture them and.
You can trap them somehow.
I caught them with my hands.
My dad used to go out and hunt a turkey for Thanksgiving, just because he thought he could.
Yeah.
So my mom would take care of it, we just, I'll take the ham, please. That's what I did.
I don't think wild turkeys.
We have two mothers that teamed up together to raise their flocks. So they walk around as a group of 16. And they torment my dog.
Out there, I mean, they'll go after you, like mess up your tires.
Mhm.
There's something.
They lead you away too. They have their little ones bedded down. They've let me and my 1-year-old Springer Spaniel get within 5 feet of her, but she kept taking us further and further away from where the babies were. It just took us in a big circle, but Canadian geese do it.
Or later bigger ground,
No,
meadowlarks, yeah.
I know.
That too.
I think the clover does it too, where they'll raw.
She'll hear.
About 3 years ago, we had ducks in a pen, and I was driving by there one time, there was a young turkey was. Couldn't figure out what it was, and I managed to grab it, put it with my chicken, and it was delicious. So it was delicious. That's my other one too, from time to time. If you do that, you know.
You know. Mine says 6:03, what is yours saying? 6, so if it's even.
Well, if it's 6 even, then that's a perfect time to call to order the Joe Davis County Development and Planning Committee for Tuesday, July 28th, 2026 at 6 p.m. I'd like to ask Angie Kaiser to call roll.
Dittmer,
Yes.
Diane Gallagher,
Present.
Lynn Gallagher, Lang, Schultz, Trost. You have a quorum.
The next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 23rd, 2026 meeting. I have any questions on those minutes? Anything you'd like to pull out? Comment on?
Second.
Motion has been made by John Lang and seconded by John Schultz to approve the minutes of June 23rd, 2026. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Citizen comments. We just got tuned in to Zoom, and I don't know if we have anybody on Zoom because there's no one in the room here other than our
Looks like
reporters, Bill Maker
Dacia.
and Dacia. Dacia, I don't know if you want to talk during citizen comments. You are certainly welcome.
Nothing, just listening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And Bill, we'll hear from you later. Unless you want to speak as a citizen, you're welcome to.
No, not necessary.
Okay, thank you. Thank you much. Moving on to unfinished business. Our strategic goals have been reviewed and looked at each time. I don't know that we see it much of a change in those. Is there any discussion you'd like to add as we see them?
Is it correct that the, meeting that would have had tomorrow night has been, postponed to the next month?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
No.
No,
Are-
the
you're
finance
talking-
is on.
Are you talking about ICTC?
I'm talking about,
Development, or,
yeah, the-
bills.
Oh, right, correct.
GBA,
That,
there you go.
that was last week, wasn't it?
They didn't have it.
They're skipping and going to next month. Right, right.
Correct.
But development and planning, our goals are still set, actively revising the zoning ordinance, so that's what the zoning board will work on next month. Encouraging commercial and industrial development, which we're always reviewing and looking forward to. And the third one is to encourage cooperative planning efforts with municipalities. Not hearing any change to those, we could move on to new business, which number one is discussion and possible action to recommend the approval of a first-time homebuyer's loan for Sophie Ann Berg in Apple River in the amount of $6,250 for a term of 10 years. I think you'll find that in your packet on page five on mine.
Has been met already?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised her signature was different than her handwriting though. And that information, when that comes in, does that come directly to you, Angie? I know it's not a.
I mean, it goes to the bank and then the bank is the one who, with the pre-approval letter, sends it to me.
Okay.
You need a motion?
Yes.
Also move.
Second.
It's been moved by Mike Dittmer and seconded by John Schultz to take action to recommend the approval of a first-time homebuyer's loan for Sophie Ann Burke, Apple River, in the amount of $6,250 for a term of 10 years. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, glad to see a young person starting that early. She's making the right move. On the B of new business is a discussion and possible action to recommend the approval of a first-time homebuyer's loan for Benjamin, is it Frankie? Is that how you
Frank.
pronounce- Frank?
Yep.
In Hanover in the amount of $6,000 for a term of 10 years. And his application is on, gosh, it's on the screen. Good, mine moving slowly. And that would be in a Hanover location. Is there any questions you'd like to put forth on that? Oh,
I move to approve the first-time homeowners loan to Benjamin P. Frank.
You're gonna have to turn on the mic.
Oh,
Right.
I'll second it.
I move to approve the first-time home buyers loan. It's the amount of $6,000 to Benjamin P. Frank for a term of 10 years.
I'll second.
That's been moved by.
it's been moved by John Schultz and seconded by John Lang to approve the motion to recommend the approval of a first-time home buyer's loan for Benjamin Frank in Hanover in the amount of $6,000 for a term of 10 years. Is there any discussion?
How much money would currently have loaned out for the 10-year loan?
We haven't made any loans this year, so everything from last year, which I think was like 62,000-ish. When we get to the financials, we'll be able to see.
I would like to share, I did call one of the bankers to just kind of ask about loans, whether it was business or home, and asking about the guarantee program. And I did learn that it's a lot of paperwork when they go for the the FHA or SBA loan. So this is kind of nice to make it easy and simple to supplement loans for new home, first time buyers. There's been a motion on the floor, a second. Any other comments? All the,
Yeah, we more, yeah.
we took the vote on that.
No.
Yeah, I'm ready for the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed say motion carries. Thank you.
I have to ask, if somebody defaults, I know we've discussed this before, but if somebody defaults, is there any repercussions of any way to get that back?
There's a sue them and that we wouldn't do that. That's the way I understand it.
What is it again?
We'd have to sue them and we very likely would not do them. And that's my understanding in a way that when we set these up, that's what we discussed, that we don't really have any leverage.
Should be able to get a lien on it, on the property. If we have, it's issued.
An unsecured,
It is not.
it's unsecured note, so
It is unsecured.
you're SOL.
But the banker did tell me that very few
Yes, that's.
ever default.
David had the end of the year.
Is this decided tonight, or does this have to go to full board for final approval? Okay.
Any other questions? Ladon? Go on to C, the discussion and possible action regarding the fiscal year 2027 economic development programs. And we've discussed some items, and I know we have strong interest in helping to bring young people to the county, young people to stay in the county, and jobs and homes. As we look at these, I think we've talked about what kinds of programs would be most successful. And David has been running some programs to help business. Funding is something that we'll be sharing in the future with the Finance Committee. Mike, you presented some ideas. Would you like to cover some of those right now?
Well, there's this one ahead of me.
Are we done with
I don't know,
what we have here?
whatever you want up here first. I just put all the documents that I had for this together, so. Whatever you want. I got another document today from Mike, that's not attached.
I just emailed everyone.
Oh, I mean, I can bring it up.
Oh, this is fine.
I haven't seen.
Okay, all right, I've got it, so I can, so do you wanna bring that up, or do you wanna bring his summary up? Does the summary cover that? That was from a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's all. What I just emailed you, that's all. Was the priorities, which we talked about.
Yeah, where I looked at it was last night. Not today.
Yeah, so I emailed this to Angie too, and I just emailed it to you guys now. Sorry, we've been working nonstop at the farm. I actually unloaded hay yesterday and almost died. So, anyhow, I think this is all pretty nothing new. So the $75,000, approximately whatever it is, in annual cannabis tax revenue. So my priority, and I think I have pretty good amount of county board, other members support on this. The first is to spend the first 15,000 of that to pay our dues that we paid to David, Northwest Illinois Economic Development. And the reason for that is because we've just been slowly draining Fund 018. And so that stabilizes that fund. So that stays there. And then this first goes to pay for that. So I think that's a really good idea to do that. So we don't keep draining Fund 018 slowly. Priority 2 is reinstate the small business grant program. We talked about this last month. I think it's the best thing that we've ever done. In the last 10 years, we helped create, obviously the entrepreneurs get the most credit. It's the most jobs we created. And I think that was all in from last, and I think I did a summary of the jobs created in this here. And then this is it takes I think I had two separate programs. I just put it in one. I call it the target. ChatGPT came up with the name. I thought it was good, but it's more specific. We've talked about daycare, industrial park, and housing. Again, we talked about this last month. Again, it would say, or anything else the county board wants to do. So intended use. Oh, sorry, it's a $250,000 low interest loan. Childcare facilities, housing, industrial parks, workforce, anything like that. It's loan, we get the money back. Again, and where's that money coming from? This money is not coming from the grant money. This money is coming from either our budget or the savings accounts that we use to fund the courthouse. You guys know where I stand on that. So if we can spend money on that, which we did, fine. We can spend money on a loan that we'll get back. And then I don't have it as a priority, but it should be continuing existing programs in Fund 018 that we have using all the money that we have in Fund 18. So we just the first time home buyer loan program and the revolving loan fund. So
I would think our existing programs would have higher priority.
Well, I don't know where to put it. I mean, I put the target loan high because I want that as a new program. So, but there's no, to me, they're all the same. I don't know how to, I do think that the $15,000 in Northwest Illinois from the 75,000 that's going to economic development, that one we have to do to keep Fund 18 from degrading. After that, 2, 3, and 4 to me are all the same. So, I mean, so the fund to fund everything, the leftover, whatever the leftover cannabis money is. I hope I said that clearly. I mean, if there's not enough, then there is no grant program that year. That goes into the grant program because I think that's the best one we had. And then we're asking to find money for a loan for specific programs. That's it. And I got some, I think this is, we talked about this, but I did the math. This is the reason why. If you look at the financial assistant comparison, can you scroll down a little bit, Angie? Yeah, so this is an unnamed trucking company. This actually happened. And if you ask me if these amounts are correct, I don't have any data. This is what I heard from someone that was involved. I think we can all agree. I mean, it was a lot. There was a trucking company started by some young men in Scales Mountain. They created a base in East Dubuque, and Iowa lured them to Dubuque. And I heard they got $2 million, $1 million from the state and $1 million from the Greater Dubuque development area, which is the county and the city together. That's what Northwest Illinois is based on. They just don't have the money that they have. And they did a T sheet. I think they're called T sheets. David, did I say that right? T sheets, where you make 2 columns and you decide where you're going. Thought that I had that on here. Anyhow, the state of Illinois gave nothing. You guys all know how the state of Illinois works. DCO says, we're not going to give you any money unless you go to a different state and get a better deal. And then the better deal is better than what DCO can do. So our companies leave. You guys all know that. Joe Davis County, nothing. But the city of East Dubuque offered them $300,000 in TIF money. And so if you look at the total assistance, we lost. And I've said before, the whole purpose of this is to get on the playing field. We're not going to hit grand slams. But maybe we could keep them here. Maybe we could help the ones we have here. So if we have these programs, unnamed trucking company, what could have been, you see what Iowa has, we could offer a loan. And then I didn't explain this on here, but I want to explain it now. I think with the target loan, because we need more money to compete with Iowa and Wisconsin, to offer a $50,000 grant with that loan. Now, if you guys say no to that, that's fine. But that money would come, we wouldn't use the small grant then. It's the same money. We could choose. This is a big project this year. We're not doing small grants this year. City of East Dubuque. So now if you look at the potential assistance, it's a lot better. We still can't compete with Iowa, but at least we're on the playing field.
30% of what I was offering, maximum there, 250 loan and a 50 gift, along with a 300 East Dubuque, you're still gonna lose.
Well, but at least we were on the playing field. So see, that's where we could do nothing or we could do something. I would love it to be more money, but I don't think you guys will approve. I think I'm gonna have to fight to the death to get this money. I'd love to get it more. So
Hard time. And we're gonna have a hard time getting the 250 to start out with for a loan to a company.
from the county board or just that the company would want it.
I think you're gonna have a hard time justifying one loan of $250,000 to one company where you don't have a dedicated stream to start out with. We've got this originally 400,000 or 500,000 that we're funding these programs for now, so it's been fairly painless to do them.
Well, that's where we're gonna have to make a political decision and where me and some other county board members disagree with you. We spent 7.7 million from savings for the courthouse. Fine. We can spend 250 on a low interest loan. We had 1.4 million surplus 2 years ago. We had $1 million surplus last year in the budget, which 1.2 then went to the county courthouse. We can find $250,000. That's what I'm saying. So that's up to you guys to vote for it or vote it down. It's a vote it down publicly. That's fine.
Well, you're
So-
not really talking about this actual trucking company because that's past history.
It has it. So here's an example. So we had a tech company in Elizabeth. And this, I'm pretty sure this is the correct data. They got $1 million. He told me we got $1 million. We didn't have any money in our TIF at the time, so the most I could offer him was $50,000. So because this was 15 years ago when we first started, and they moved their tech company. They employed 45 people on Main Street, and that's why it was called E-Town, now it's called Turpin Station. That's why they started that, just because they needed coffee, the Starbucks for all those tech people. And thank God that still is, but it was 45 people on Main Street. If you look what it could have been, it'd be $350,000. But now here's what your answer. Number 5, if you want to scroll down. The Stockton Industrial Park. I don't know if they're getting any outside, but I don't know that Stockton is offered. I don't know if you can even say that, but we could help with $300,000 to help with that. So
Isn't Stockton right now just trying to get the site readiness grant? I don't know, has that been awarded yet? It's
this is just possibility that we've talked about here. That's what I use for examples.
Examples is how to spend your 300,000 that you're talking about, essentially.
Yeah, like I said, this would be something I definitely, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if 300 is enough, but like I said, I think I have a chance to get a majority of the county board to support this. So
Mike, what would that money be used for? Do you know?
construction,
To build a business.
To build a business park?
yeah.
So this is probably gonna fall into the questions that you had be asked of legal counsel.
Yes, it could, yeah.
Because of the fact that if the statutes don't give you express permission to do something, you can't give money to someone else to do the same thing.
So I'm confident. Well, we're starting the discussion now, so that's fine. But I believe it was McHenry County, and I found their webpage, and it says we are investing, and they said to satisfy that we're helping create new tax revenue for the county, so therefore it passed. So if I believe it was McHenry. If McHenry County can do this, then I'm confident it's legal. So.
Is that the one where they were working on a drainage district?
No, I looked at that one.
That one I don't think is appropriate,
Well,
because it's a drainage district, which is a government entity, and they were supplementing that.
well, I reread it after you emailed me and I sent you a response and you never responded. I didn't see anything in there that's a discussion we can do later. Elizabeth Child Care Center, Davis County could offer a $250,000 loan, with the small business grant. Village Elizabeth, this is official. Scott Toot offered Melanie $200,000 to come to Elizabeth. Her facility that she has now is a $1.5 million facility. So, some of you guys went to Melanie and I asked this question in front of her. if we were to do a low interest loan to help with that, would that matter? Would that help? And she said, hell yeah. So,
But what about the money that was just received by, the VOTEC Center to do childcare?
yeah, so I don't know if I have that on here or not.
I wouldn't think that there
I
would
don't.
be,
So
why would you have two competing?
it's just,
But they are going to be moving ahead with
So-
care, aren't they?
so, this, I think it comes later in the project, but I'll explain it now. So Scott Two and I met with, the CTE, thanks David, by the way, last week. And they received a $1.5 million, grant to do 0 through 3 daycare, which is needed. We quickly, met and, we talked with, Melanie, and they're gonna meet with Melanie. And I don't know if Melanie's gonna help partner with them or just help them. That's coming. And one of the things when I brought this up, I don't know what meeting it was. I think we create a program and then people apply for the program. I think that's a fair way to do it. Someone mentioned, I don't remember who it was, said, well, we need to have a project and then we'll help invest in the project. I wanted to ask your permission. They are ready to come here to present a project because they would use this loan. So the tech center, yeah. And so I talked to Chad. They still have the Cadillac plan and the bare bones plan, and I don't know what they've decided on, but they would need financing for both a low interest loan. They said would be awesome to help do that. So if we, again, I'd want to do a project and then we help, but a program and people can apply for it. Or if you guys want a specific project, there it is. We have talked for 2 years that we desperately need daycare. We have an entity that received a $1.5 million grant. They need about 3 million. This would be a perfect program for it. So
Who's wants to present a project?
the CT in Elizabeth, the CT,
The Joe Carroll Career Technical
It used to be the
Education Academy.
ABC that for
CT.
vocational schools. The VOTEC. It used to be the VOTEC when I was younger. Did you go to that when you?
No.
Yeah. They're doing a whole new daycare program. I mean, it's awesome.
And this is separate from the program that got money just recently.
No, it's the same group.
Same-
It's not enough. The 1.5 is not enough. That's why I come to talk to Melanie because she did it for 1.5, but I don't, I don't know the bare bones, but he said he would come here and present. So, county housing development, this is where I think it could really help. I don't know if Jake's on or not. I don't want to pick on him, but Jake and another person, bought some land. They want to do housing. And the reason they haven't gone forward with it, it's a cornfield right now, is because interest rates are high. I asked Jake, what's stopping you guys from building houses in Elizabeth? Interest rates. And I said, so if there was a program where you could get lower interest rates and make it more affordable, would that help you put your housing? Now, Jake can't apply for it, obviously. He said, hell yeah. So that's why that's why the low interest loan. So, same thing. I don't know what the unknown TIF money is. They're going to get a lot of TIF money to help pay for it. So, and then the blackjack thing, I think that's a great idea. And I'd love to enter negotiations with that group and help them. I double the amount because I think that's a huge project.
What's the blackjack thing?
Well,
Jim Baranski,
yeah, and Brad Petersburg. If they came to us looking for economic help to do wonders there, I think I'm all in. So I just did
You're
the,
talking about Brad's idea of ancillary things alongside the route. having to
yeah,
build it.
yeah. I mean, we wouldn't build, I mean, it would be a development project. Whoever got the road, whether it was us or the city, whatever. It would just be, again, creating housing. We talked about workforce housing, businesses, subs, all that stuff. So, it shouldn't matter. So, yeah. Anyhow, why this matters today, James County has very limited financial tools. This is helping. The new thing is the target grant. So, and then I scroll on. I don't know if you can go back to it, Angie.
if you look at state statute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, if you scroll down, keep going, right there. Our comprehensive plan says to do this on page 5. It says to do it on creating better paying jobs, page 6, page 98. If we just keep scrolling, I mean, if you want to read it, we can. Page 109, page 136 to 137, 135. And then I just gave a summary. Those are the jobs that, like I said, I think the grant program was the best thing we ever did. And then at the end is a summary of what I presented last month.
How many of those jobs would have happened whether we loaned them or gave them the money or not?
I don't know. That's
And-
ask
and-
them, but or David, but I know that again, see, that's where I think I disagree with you. Whether we gave them money or not, that helped them leverage even more money to spend in our county. So if we can give them 25,000, then that can help them borrow 500,000. We're helping them spend $500,000 in our county. So I think housing, business part, those are things that the sales tax and the property tax is tremendous payback. So again, we helped, they get the credit. We helped create, at least 10 jobs just on those examples. And every single one of those people, came here and said, thank you, it helped, because we don't know if we could have done it without you. So that's our goal, is to create an environment where people know that we're willing to help and we're willing to expand. So.
Well, in looking over our history, some of the things I've heard from people is like the Build and Grow It program have been really helpful in kind of educating and helping new businesses. And I've heard about other communities that do reductions in their permitting costs, maybe help with the infrastructure. But sometimes that information comes from the communities and not from counties. Kind of hard to separate when you think about what's going on in Iowa. So much is led by their separate development group. Just like when chambers join with the economic development group, they're able to do things because they're a separate organization from the community itself. I think what we're looking at are ways to spend money, but we want to be on solid ground as far as following the Illinois statutes and also following the funding sources. I don't know, John?
Does anybody know where we're at on pot money for 25, 26? I know we had an estimate, but I've also been told that maybe pot money is going to be down this year. Do we have any clue where that's going to land? Angie?
Lynn?
I spent the afternoon looking at the new cannabis law that went into effect July 1st. That is really going to affect us starting in September, because any recreational dispensary now has the opportunity to sell at a medical rate, which means no tax. So far, 2 of the 4 dispensaries in the county are going medical. The other 2 are not sure if they're going to or not. Depending on how we've already hit a flat line in terms of sales, but depending on how many medical patients there are who purchase in the county, our tax revenue is going to go down. They're also anticipating, because there are going to be so many more dispensaries selling at the medical rate, that the number of people who have a medical card is going to skyrocket as well. And there's no real way of knowing how many medical patients there are in the county because of HIPAA. I've looked around and it's about 1,300. But because of Verilife in Galena and how many people are tourists and purchase at Verilife, it could be that they're going to come to Galena to purchase and get it at the medical rate. So even a 5% decrease is going to hit us big, not this year, but every year after this.
Why would it be only 5% if you're saying?
Oh, it could be way more. It could be way more. I mean, conservatively, 5%. I know people who don't have a medical card who will get one because it's so much cheaper. It is so much cheaper. They also took off the cap on how much you can grow as a medical patient. So the more you can grow yourself, the less you're going to purchase.
There's also another factor coming, sometime this year. I anticipate in the override session or the lame duck, they're gonna come up with some way to fund the tier 2 retirement, and that is gonna be a major impact for the county.
I had the opportunity to talk to a builder contractor this morning in Lena, and it's telling me about the new housing development there be on the south west side of Lena, kind of by Sullivan's out there where we expanded the enterprise zone just a month ago. And there's already contracts for a dozen houses on about 60 tracts there. And that enterprise zone is going to, with the 3-year abatement and the sales tax abatement, will be worth about $40,000 to a newly constructed home this year. And also had the opportunity to talk to Mayor Mitch this morning and impressed upon him the urgency of pursuing a similar policy. So I rely on you to drive that point home. But that is something that we could do to encourage housing here with, well, there would not be at no cost to us because we're giving away the sales tax. But it's also building tax base, which I think the short-term trade of the sales tax is worth having a, $500,000 home built in the county. And the other thing is these Z zones are all going to be in a municipality, and people want us to build in town anyways. So that's kind of killing two birds with one stone there. And I talked to Mike about the grant program here, and I said I was going to support him on it. One thing I would like to see included in that is an EBITDA score, tighten up our standards a little bit. Put an EBITDA score on there for those of you who are not familiar with that. That's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's a financial tool for looking at the health of a project. And what this would do would be guarantee that there's enough cash flow in a project that they are going to follow through and hire people like they say they're going to. There's obviously no way we can force somebody to make those hirings, but having a decent financial score on this would at least guarantee that they have the resources to do so. And
Angie gave me a reference you should look at. The Public Funds and Investment Act. You want to bring that up?
I didn't know. I gave that to you because it's something that the UCCI attorney mentioned to me.
Yeah.
If you wanted to take it to legislative, but essentially in a nutshell, core takeaway, the act defines public funds, defines public agencies, and strictly limits how local governments may invest public money, requiring prudence, safety, and preservation of capital. It defines public funds as current operating funds, special funds, interest and sinking funds, and funds of any kind or character belonging to or in the custody of any public agency. Definition is broad. Any money held by a local government is a public fund. Applies to every local government in Illinois. That includes counties. It requires how you invest your money only in US Treasury securities, federal agency securities, FDIC insured, bank deposits, highly rated corporate commercial paper, certain municipal bonds, money market mutual funds. It's prudence rule. Officials must protect public money, not speculate with it.
Yeah, so that's not applicable here because that's for the treasury, the treasury department, how they invest our money. We can create economic development programs to do economic development, and that's separate. And I'll give you a perfect example. We have a revolving loan fund that would be illegal according to what she just said, and we have we have another loan fund. We have the house loan fund that would be illegal. So that is directions on how the treasurer is supposed to invest our monies, not how public policies and public programs that we can create. So it's why we need that ICC thing. So
That's the attorney that said it.
yeah.
So he's wrong now too? Okay, no, I talked to him in person, so.
No.
I guess I'm just saying it's something to keep in mind.
Again, counties and municipalities are allowed to do economic development programs. What that refers to is how you invest your treasury money for the treasurer.
You can invest in economic development programs, but economic development programs, you have to have a measurable, I believe you have to have a measurable standard, a return. And again, you can't give money to, okay, so for instance, industrial park, business park. Any business coming into the business park that wants to apply for a revolving loan? Yes. Childcare? Yes. Giving it to the village of Stockton to buy the land for the business park? No, because the law doesn't allow you as a county to do that. So you can't give money to a municipality to do the same thing. So you see what I mean?
But if a company was doing a public-private partnership with the village of Elizabeth, we'll just use Elizabeth, and person A is using their private money and then the village is using their own money, we can loan money to person A for that project. So that's exactly what the target program is. If it's illegal to loan the money to municipalities, then it would just do the private person that's doing it. I mean.
Maybe it would be helpful to look at the money that you guys are looking at for this year. Would that maybe help the conversation? So I put up here the draft budget for fiscal year 27. And I've already anticipated, and hopefully Lynn's wrong, and I'm sure she's not, but we'll be hopeful and say that this is what the 50% after the 600,000 will be for next year. CD interest earned in savings for the existing loans got a total of 91,350. I did not put in any expenses other than the what we've done for UCCI. The reason that expense stays in the Economic Development Fund has more to do with GASB than anything. The way we spend our money and the way we are audited for the spending of our money is by cost categories. And this is a development cost category versus a general administration or a public safety or judicial. So it needs to stay in a development fund.
What cost was that again?
What's that?
The UCC, what was that cost?
The cost categories for GASB?
Oh, I thought there was like a cost that we
It's a cost category.
Got it.
So
I'm sorry.
if
No,
you
that's
look at
fine.
Okay, all right. That's just kind of addressing your first thing about taking the 15,000 out of, essentially, I think you were saying the general fund or the cannabis revenue before. Yeah.
The cannabis revenue, the first 15,000 goes towards, I keep saying David, but Northwest Illinois Development, so we don't keep pulling from the funding.
But that's what I'm saying. It has to come from this fund because the cost category is development. So the expense of Northwest Illinois Economic Development is a development expense. So it needs to come from a development budget. And it's 6 or 1/2 dozen of the other. I mean, it's either we pay the 15,000 out of the Economic Development Fund after the money goes into it, or you withhold 15,000 of any money going into it to pay the economic development.
Sure.
So,
That's my priority, is that that gets paid first, so I don't care how we do it.
sure. So anyway, down at the bottom here, and I'm not having a lot of luck scrolling here. So with only the expense of the 15,000, we're showing in the black 76,350. Our cash balance as of the end of June was 294,198.79. Estimated revenue for the rest of this year, you know, if it comes in and stays steady, which so far it has been on point, 72.2 or 76.2, sorry. Possible loans would be the loans that you recommended tonight. So estimated amount available for economic development plan expenditures next year is $434,498.79. How you decide to allocate that, I guess is up to you,
Well, we'd have to,
if you decide to allocate.
we'd have to anticipate future revenue. We can't just depend on that amount because we aren't going to be,
We're just talking about fiscal year 27 though.
but keeping.
And any
keeping that
program
fund
that
out.
you do, anything that you do in economic development is gonna have to be year to year.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not gonna be able to commit to doing you know, because once, if you decided tonight to go forward with a program to loan $250,000 and you lend out that $250,000 at the beginning of the fiscal year, you know, you reduce this amount by 250,000 and, you know, and that's where you're at.
So is this? The estimated cannabis tax is the half is 87,500. Is that what you think?
Well, that was before the medical marijuana information.
But that means that's what we'll have this year. Next year it might be different.
Well, that is next year.
What was, well,
This year.
that's what I mean. This year, we're gaining it this year. This is what we'll spend next year. What's
So
the revenue as of now? That's, I guess.
in the 26 budget, we budgeted 75,000 in revenue. You've gotten 0 so far.
So far.
So I am anticipating, based on what we've been receiving up to this point, that you're going to receive that 75 plus
Got it.
interest from the loans that are paying to the tune of 76,200. So you haven't received it yet,
No, I
but as
understand.
long as this year ends the way that we hope it does, you will have it.
How do you come up with the 434,498.79? I come up with 358,148.79.
Are you adding in the 76,350?
No.
That-
Where's that?
That would be
The revenue for this.
the revenue for this year,
Okay.
minus the 15,000, if that's what the budget calls for Northwest Illinois Economic Development.
Okay.
And again, I didn't put in any other expenses. Black Hawk Hills is not in there. So.
What do we normally do?
They make a request, and like last year, the last 2 years was 2203.50. But then in 23, we gave them $6,008.75. So I think it comes down to during the joint reviews. I'm guessing they must have asked for some extra money or something else was going on. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look.
Well, and that's putting Northwest Illinois at no increase year after year.
Correct.
Which is
that is
hardly
correct.
fair.
Right. And I mean, and that also, I actually thought I didn't think that I had put that in there. I thought I left all of those zeros, but, you know, during the joint reviews, they very well may ask to be considered for an increase. They've really done a lot more for us in relation to like the grant program and things like that. So, I mean, I don't think that it would be inappropriate at all if they were to ask for more of a donation, but that's not up to me.
Well, it's one of the things that I do notice if you start talking, that those contacts with the businesses, the interrelationships that are developed through that organization have really paid off. And I get a kick out of it because anytime I call people, they say, oh, well, just ask David Schmidt. So it's a way that we're serving them, whether it's the training program, and the rewards that they gave to people from the training program were really appreciated. It may seem small, but it was an effort that made people attend the event.
Well, these are all things that you're gonna be discussing during the budget, the joint review meetings. So this is just a preview because of the fact that this budget is so different. In the past, the county administrator prepared the budget based on the amount of money that we had in the fund. And that's what we did. Now, you're looking to spend more money, you're looking for dedicated revenue. So I thought that in order for you to talk about your fiscal year 27 priorities, you needed to know how much money you could potentially be working with.
Maximum.
Right. So the budget, I would assume that you would have an expense that would match this. How you put it in here, quite honestly, I kind of talked about this last year. I mean, we ideally want to put it in the line that we think the money is going to come from. However, your purchase, your code of ordinances allows for line item transfers within this fund. You put it in scheduled loan expense and you want it to be a grant, we can put it into either an existing grant loan, a grant line, we can create a line, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But what matters is that it's in the expense. You put the money in the expense, how you decide to spend it, that's going to be up to this committee to recommend to the county board because of the fact that, this isn't just a department. This isn't an operations budget. This is an economic development budget. So the entire board will make that decision.
Mike?
Yeah, just sum up. So I'm recommending we keep the budget exactly the same from last year, within whatever you guys want. The extra 76,350 from hopefully cannabis money, 15,000 or more, whatever David asked for and what this board does. I'd even be willing to throw in the 2,200 for Black Hawk Hills too. So Fund 18 doesn't go down, and then the rest of that money, that is what we fought for, was to redo the grant program with that money, using cannabis money. I made this argument a million times. That's what it is. I hope we can do that. I think that's a no-brainer. That doesn't change anything. It gives us a little bit of grant money to help small businesses. The big change is to find money for a loan to do big projects. That's the big change. And again, I hope we can compromise. I hope we can have a truce. We spend a ton of money in the courthouse. God bless us all. Whatever. I'm done fighting it. But if we can do that, we should be able to find $250,000 in loan money that we'll get back to help lower interest to help bigger projects. That's what I'm hoping for. And we have one with a daycare that already got a $1.5 million grant, so we could help them. And I'm willing to use that money on anything else too. Stockton, housing somewhere, blackjack, whatever. We need to have a little bit in the game so we can help, so we can try. So
Which daycare are you talking about? The one at the Votex Center? Or?
We have a project there that could come here and ask for money. So
because that's all state funded under the early childhood grants that the state of Illinois put out.
I don't know how much the state funds them at all. They get some grants, but that's something to ask Chad. I don't want to speak, but I know that the grant came from a private grant. So
Private.
The 1.5 came from a private grant. Willowbrook, something like that.
Huh.
You could ask him. So
It's through the Joe Davies County Community Foundation.
Oh,
Well, there may be some things that we're not closely aware of, and, because housing and childcare were the items that seem to be, strong points for young people. And when, David mentioned that there was a developer that asked about a housing statistical report, and I talked to Black Hawk Hills and they said, yes, that's often requested, and you don't have anything like that that is current. A report like that could be done, Black Hawk Hills or whoever. And the childcare program kind of correlates to a couple of our goals of working together with communities, and does help with encouraging people to move into the county or stay in the county because of childcare and work close by. I talked to an HR person from Wisconsin, and she said that's the problem that they're having. They can't get young people because they don't have childcare in their area. And I was surprised at that. It's a large area. David, could you kind of describe was I correct in that statistical survey that's needed?
The one coming out of Galena?
I don't know where it's coming from, but if there's a need for multifamily housing, they need to know some data to put that together. When I talked to the banker, he said, yes, that's something that they often ask for.
What he was asking for was data on what exactly to build in terms of square footage to bedroom sizes for the overall units. So he had real specific builder developer questions and was looking for data to reinforce his opinions. The county doesn't have it. We don't have it for Joe Davies. You know, it might exist in other communities, but those communities' data doesn't transfer to Joe Davies. It's not replicable. So it may be informational to the developer that's looking to do something in terms of, say, maybe like a sixplex unit. But that data doesn't exist for our area. And if one small developer, really, contractor, all the others could benefit from the same information if a study were to be done. And rather than just benefiting, a recipient, this information could be transferable to, say, dozens of small businesses.
So expense budgets are due to my office on Friday. How do you want this to look? You have the amount of money here that you're dealing with. That's what you've got to deal with. That's what you could potentially be asking for in your expenses. Anything beyond that is going to be an unfunded request.
But we can still ask for miscellaneous expense. I mean, it's as it is right now.
You have expenses that can total realistically $434,498. That's what you have to realistically deal with. That's with the 15,000 for David out of it already, and not for David, Northwest Illinois Economic Development. Keeping in mind, we give money to Black Hawk Hills every year. Now, do you want to keep doing it? I don't know. That's up to you, but.
I think that's up to Diane's recommendation. She knows the most about Black Hawk Hills.
I think we'd be foolish to pull out of Black Hawk Hills. I think their potential for doing things for us is possibly going to be growing. We have a in-district meeting with them, and I talked to one of the other members, and we both agreed that we want to see more activity for economic development. They are the arm for grants, and if we look, as I've looked at grants, it is not reasonable to apply for anything for a grant unless it was already a priority of the county itself. And I was thinking that we would determine whether, if we just had, we know we want to continue with the house, first-time homebuyer loans. We don't know how many might come through. We know we need to have data available for grants. The IDHA that talked to us, whether that was ever a possibility for multifamily units, the potential for childcare would already meet some of the goals that we've stated working together. We don't know how soon they would need money, but certainly even in the industrial park in Stockton, at some point may be so drastic. And whether that came to fruition to really create jobs it takes time to build the revenue. We can't spend it all in 1 year. We don't really require a fund balance in special funds, right?
You don't, but you also can't spend what you don't have. It's not like the bigger funds, the operating funds that, you, I don't want to say rob Peter to pay Paul, because that is absolutely not true, but you have leeway. In a special fund, you have X amount of dollars, and it does not matter if you have $1 million budgeted to spend. If you've only got $2, you only can spend $2. So, I would say that, you can probably go ahead and budget and justify $434,498. However, if that money doesn't come through, you're not going to have it. You're not going to have it to spend. I just need to know what lines you want to put it in, because that was.
Well, we remember that the home loans are up to $25,000. I mean, tonight's were very small. But what if we had 2 or 3 people applying? Do we want to say no to that because we're doing something else? If we prioritize, do we want to stick with the things that we've been doing well, continue helping those who are here before we reach out to others? Lynn?
I have a question about childcare. There's the CTE in Elizabeth that we're talking about investing in. Are we still going to invest or think about investing in the established daycare that's in East Dubuque, who said she wanted to move to Elizabeth? Are we supporting 2 daycares in Elizabeth? So the one in East Dubuque is.
Chad hasn't talked with, it would be one project, whatever one that we chose to, whatever one came forward. I have a feeling Melanie's gonna go somewhere else. She was originally gonna go to Wisconsin.
Well, would she go to Stockton? Would she go to Warren?
Maybe. I don't know. So again, I want to be really clear. So if we were not using this money, I'm asking for an additional $250,000 money from unfunded, from savings, from surplus, wherever. That would create a program that people would apply. So if Melanie applied at Stockton and the CTE applied, we can only choose one. And that'd be a great problem to have. That because we get to choose. You see what I'm saying? I'd love for that to happen.
Why wouldn't you want to use some of this money for the 250,000? Why do you want in addition to 250,000?
Because it'll be gone. I want
How is
something.
it going to be gone?
If we spend the 250, then the following year there isn't any.
Well, I mean, if your cannabis money goes down the tube, no, you're right. You won't have any. But if it doesn't, I mean, you managed to set that revenue stream.
No, so it's the 250,000 is a year by year request if we have the extra money. Again, my proposal, I kind of did the math. If we have to do the math now, I didn't know that. I would have done the math. The 76,350 estimation, I know it's estimation. If we take 20,000 out, if David asked for that much, maybe he won't, hopefully he does, I don't know. And 2,500 for which is a little increase for Blackhawk Hills, that leaves 53,850. I would like that to go into 081846177926, the Small Business Stabilization Fund, which is where we did the $100,000 grant. And then I would keep everything else the same. If we need to move less from miscellaneous or more for miscellaneous into loan expenses for the other loans. That I don't want to touch any of those programs. Those are all there. They're all funded by that amount. That's my main thing. I would like to discuss as we go further on helping economic development projects in the target grant with whether it's Stockton, 2 different daycares, wherever. We need to have some kind of money that we can get in the game if we need to help a bigger business with more than $25,000. That's what we need. Or
I want to stay with just the 400,000. I don't want to go any further. You don't, a farmer, a farmer does not eat a seed corn.
so you're saying that if a project came in, if a daycare came in or whatever came in and asked for 250,000, we would take it from that and we'd have no money to do anything else. That's what you're all right with.
Yeah,
Right.
It still leave you 180,000.
yeah. Yes.
But then what about the next year? Again, I want to, my priority is the grant because that we saw the best bang for our buck right away.
The question I was trying to ask before is, if you get your $250,000 this year or next year, then in next year, you're going to owe another 250,000 forever. And we don't have that kind of money to give away year after year. I know you're going to use the courthouse argument.
Yeah.
We started out at 12,500,000. We didn't. We knew it was going to be at least that much, just building it. We had to move the stuff out, move it back. We knew that it was going to be, the estimates I heard to start out with were between 16 and 17,000 or million, not 12 and a half.
Yeah.
So those numbers are irrelevant.
It still doesn't matter. That money was spent on that and it's gone. I'm just whatever.
And we all agreed to that, as LaDon said at one point, that it was a board decision that's been passed. So quit hammering us over the head with money we spent in the past.
I'm not.
The parking was also something we knew we needed to do something too. So we have to do something. And using the Galena Police Station makes the most sense at this point. There've been lots of other things in the past that have gone, but they're gone.
No, I disagree with you. I mean, if we want to go on record voting for that money, I know where my constituents are. They're not for that. They're for economic development every year. So I'm publicly willing to vote that way, and we'll see how the chips fall. But yes, it would. I would rather not have the target grant and have the small grant fund funded every year and keep everything else the same. I think that's the simplest, and that's the new revenue that we have. I think we have opportunities with these different projects coming in, and if we're gonna not fund them, then that's on us. I mean, we can be active with that money and get it all back over time and grow our economy, or we cannot do anything. I mean, that's up to us to decide. So
I don't really think the county should be a bank. I'm reluctantly in favor of these loans, but because we get some return on it, some guaranteed return. If we're going to make bigger loans, I think it should be at least at the interest rate that we would get on our funds if we loaned them to the banks and the CD, not sub-market rates.
I'm all right with that. My whole goal is to make it lower than the bank, so it's more exciting, or not exciting, enticing. Sorry. So I am totally all right with that, and I'm more and I'm. Let's say I think we can approve this now with the grant phone, and we can work on a bigger project because we do have maybe 2 now opportunities for daycare, and we've talked about it a million times that we'd want to help. So I'm all right with, as long as it's enticing. I can move on the interest. I'm all right with that. I agree with you.
Has anyone talked to any local banks? Is anyone willing to do this for us? Because it's one thing to do like a $5,000-$10,000 first home buyer loan and do all of the legwork, because the bank does all of the legwork. They collect the money, they do all of that. Right, but because it helps them because they've got the mortgage. We just helped, get the mortgage for them. if we start giving out loans at $250,000 a pop, charging just a little bit below them, there's no bank that's gonna manage that for us, and we can't do it. We
No,
cannot do it.
I have had talked to the banks, and not officially on the side, but they're all right because they know that they'll get the rest of the money for the loan. Because we're only doing, I think the target program is only 25%.
But banker, did you talk to?
Jason Thomason and Lady.
The programs for childcare and for the housing study help more people versus one business with a certain number of employees. If the childcare helps the business get workers and keep workers and helps people move here to move into the houses and the apartments, isn't that a higher outcome, better outcome?
That's why I'd like to have both. I don't know how to say it.
I don't think you can focus on one thing. I think that's why you got to have it for everything. And then we pick and choose.
Well, I'm just talking about prioritizing things, that if I have $1,000, I want to put a larger percentage or a first expenditure towards something that helps more people and helps the young people. Secondly, you know, in a priority order. Jake, I should make sure that your name gets recorded. So we didn't hear you before, but thank you.
It's two different forms of attack. The small grant program, again, no 400 person businesses can come to Davis County or Illinois. I mean, God bless you, David. Good luck. But and you know all the data. The best places to grow the businesses we already have. One job, 2 jobs at a time, 5 jobs, 7 jobs, whatever we can do. Then the target grant is for the bigger projects. So it's 2 separate places of attack.
Just want to ask a question because I want to make sure, I feel like we're talking about apples and oranges and pears here. So this is the budget that needs to be prepared to get ready to go to the joint.
Before Friday.
Yeah, to the joint review. How much expense do you want to see in this fund? And keep in mind, it can't be more than that, because any more than that is going to require an unfunded request. An unfunded request that's going to have to come from this committee. Well, you have to get them to agree to make that.
And just because we have the money budgeted, then does not necessarily mean we have to spend it.
Can or
It doesn't mean you have to.
right. Or
So I suggest we come up with a budget for spending is
yes.
$434.98.79.
And that's as far as we're going.
And that's all we can do. We can't do a thing with your 250,000 and your other 250,000 until we come up with a revenue stream for it. I understand you've got some plans for there, but let's allocate this money now.
So are you saying that you'd be comfortable setting aside a certain dollar amount for the first time home buyers, a certain amount for childcare, a certain amount for whether it be studies or some kind of infrastructure, something for housing? You want to do it by
I think the
percentage or
budget
not?
I don't even know if it's going to be for childcare. I mean,
Yeah, I think the budget needs to be more nebulous than that, categories rather than specifics.
Scheduled loan expense. And that's why last year I just did scheduled loan expense, because that could be first home buyer, that could be revolving, or miscellaneous expense. That could be the amount that, if you decide to do a different kind of a program, it could come from there.
I'll make a motion to put the money where you said it should go.
Well, so we haven't gotten the funding request for Black Hawk Hills yet. It was 2,200 in the last couple of years. It might be that. It could be more.
Yeah.
You could do,
I don't think we should allocate more than 400,000 of that 434.
so allocate 400,000. I mean, like I said, maybe that's what you need to prepare a budget allocating X amount of dollars for expense.
Yeah,
That would
So
leave us a
what's-
$34,000 cushion to, if something came up that was important, we could, attempt to fund it.
So 400,000, you want to make a motion to allocate a total of $400,000 in expense for Fund 18.
right, right.
Okay.
I'll
John,
second that.
And the details will come out later where that
Well-
money's going.
I'll put it
In a general fund or a general category.
in
I-
those categories
Can-
and then,
Can we put 50,000 in the small business stabilization account? That's what that,
well, that's a program. So if you guys decide to do that and we can make that line item transfer it and could go in there. Right now, you're just allocating the expense overall. How you actually spend it are your programs, and that's what
She
you
needs
guys.
to develop
if we
a
only need,
budget.
if we only need to do 400,000 now, I'm fine with that. Is that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as long as we can discuss the grant program later, I'm
And
totally
I
fine with
would,
that.
I would just say, I would do, I mean, I know it, you know,
Spent 4 and then.
I would just use those two line items again. And just so that at the bottom line, 400,000 expense and there we go. You decide how you want to spend it later. That way
In here or just the way we spend it?
how you spend it, what programs you do. That's a decision that you guys are gonna do here.
It has to go through the budget process first before you can appropriate it.
Correct.
We are basically putting in a general category.
Will there be a chance to put $50,000 into the small business stabilization line?
If you can convince enough this is a good idea, sure.
When is that?
Well, you got it all next year.
Not that we're doing the budget right now, though.
We're doing the budget for a $400,000 expense. I'm just putting it, I'm gonna put them in the general, just so that they show up. When you go to joint review, by that time, hopefully you've hammered something out and you wanna switch things around. God, you
So
know,
we can move it,
Godspeed.
as long as someone tells me we can move it later, I'm good.
Oh, yeah, I mean, as long as everybody.
Sure, no, as long as we have a vote on it, it's all I care.
Not everybody has to agree, it's just the majority.
But I'm all right with that.
And I do want to add, because I don't have any information yet from Black Hawk Hills, but because they're doing that presentation on housing in several communities and hearing that you might have to have a study in order to encourage a developer to start something, there may be some opportunities to join with other groups. And Black Hawk Hills had reduced their request before, but now they have added 3 staff members, a finance person and another planner. So I don't always anticipate that they will stay low, but also they can be called to task to do things, and we might pay them to do things.
Can I just mention, when Diane talked about prioritizing, and I thought that was maybe a little bit of what you were gonna talk about tonight, but I think you do need to have that list, because if you've got $25,000 to spend and you've got a $25,000 first-time homebuyer loan and you've got a $25,000 revolving loan application, and now you've got a $25,000 grant program that you want to do, who gets the 25,000? I think you guys have to, I think Diane's right. You know, within this committee, you have to prioritize how you want to spend your money. Who gets first dibs?
And remember, what is the outcome that will be attainable and most useful for the most number of people?
But that's not how I look at how budgeting. If we put $50,000 into the grant program, $200,000 into the scheduled loan, and $150,000 in miscellaneous, you just spend that money. You don't need to prioritize. You go until that runs out, or you don't spend it all. Why isn't that the way we do it?
Well, right now you've got two loan programs that are coming out of one line item.
Yeah,
So I mean.
and I would increase it to 200. From 150 to 200, the miscellaneous expense, well, I shouldn't say that. Then 50 to the small business stabilization fund, and then the odds and ends I would put to spend for David and Black Hawk Hills, and then there should be some couple thousand left I would put in miscellaneous to make it over 100. That,
I
and
would
then,
like to
and if
call
that
the
money's
question.
there, if we use that money, we use it. If we don't use it, we don't. So,
I'd like to call the question on the motion. I just set up a general thing and yeah,
Allocate more.
yeah, right.
So John, you've moved it and John Schultz, you've
Right.
seconded it? Open for discussion?
I thought we were, but
Calling the question means I need to take a vote. Do you want to do a voice vote on this?
yes, I do.
Would you,
You said voice.
oh, I wanted a roll call vote. I'm sorry, roll call vote.
Okay.
Lynn Gallagher.
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Trost, Dittmer,
We can change
Di-
it.
Diane Gallagher.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Hopefully we got something done.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Gosh. Well, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Here. Are the reports for building and zoning. So Bill Meeker is on Zoom. Thank you, Bill, for presenting your report in the written form.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you, oh, you can? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
hear you.
can.
Okay. Yeah, for the month of June, we had a total of 21 building permits issued with a total construction value of 1.93 million. Included in that was one new home with a construction value of 400,000, 5 accessory structures with a construction value of 608,000, 6 additions, etc., with construction value of 671,000, and 2 renewable energy projects with a value of 30,000. We had a total of 3 zoning certificates that were approved in June. That brings us to a total of 22 that would have been approved at mid-year. Special use permits to date, 1 with none issued in June. We've had only 1 administrative variance approved this year. None were approved in June. A total of 10 variances have been approved to date by mid-year, with 1 of those being approved in June. 1 subdivision that would be Golf Course Estates Phase 3, I believe it was, that was approved earlier in the year, and we've had no new subdivisions so far this year. Map amendments, we've had none. Temporary use permits, we've had 2 issued in the year, none in the month of June. Guest accommodations license, the total to date for new licenses is 35. During the month of June, Melissa processed 8 new applications. Renewals, we've had a total of 538 with 42 renewals being processed in June. Guest accommodations inspections, it's a little lower than it would normally be because Kathy Weenan, our part-time code enforcement officer that does the inspections, was on vacation for a week or so. So for new guest accommodations inspections, we've had 40 by mid-year with 10 of those in June. For renewals, we've had 48 total, with 12 of those occurring in June. And as a side note, we have scheduled the public hearing on the amendments that were referred back to the Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals by the board. That is going to be scheduled for the regular meeting in August. And that meeting will start at 6 p.m. It will be held at the county courthouse in the board meeting room. And we have posted the agenda online already, as well as the draft amendments. There will be a staff report prepared too, but I just wanted to make sure that we had the information up online as soon as possible, so it is there now. We have distributed information regarding the amendments to all of the county libraries as well. And we have posted on the county website as well. There's a news item on the county website noticing that hearing is upcoming in June before the Planning Commission. And that's all I've got for tonight.
I have a question, Ms. Meeker. I see you have 538 guest accommodation license renewal, and I think there's something around 800 to 900 in the county. Is there a drop dead date on those, or do they due on their anniversary? How does that work?
I believe it's I believe it's an annual renewal date, but then the staff has to, it takes time to process the renewals because there's additional information that sometimes we need to get from them, plus the inspections. So the renewal date, I think, comes up at the standard time every year at the end of the year or the beginning of the year. But then it does take time to process through and do the inspections for the renewals as well, which is why you see them happening on a monthly basis. But yeah, I believe it's a normal one-time deadline date for renewals, and then we process them at first come, first serve as we have the adequate information to complete the processing.
So is there any repercussion if their license is not renewed?
If it's not renewed and they're not actively pursuing renewal, then we would consider it to be out of compliance, and it would be a violation, and they would not be legally allowed to operate without a license.
As long as they're in the system, where they're covered. Okay.
Yeah.
There needs to be.
Bill, I had a question about the 8 new licenses. Were those in the territory or Apple Canyon?
I don't know off the top of my head. More often than not, they're going to be in one of those two areas. More frequently, the territory, followed by Apple Canyon Lake. But yeah, most of them are occurring in the territory.
I just think sometimes it's helpful for us to understand some of the new large building permits, if they're going into the guest accommodations right away, and just to kind of track what is changing.
Well, and I would anticipate that once the new amendments are in force that were approved by the board at the last regular meeting, regarding the setbacks, et cetera, that relate specifically to guest accommodations, we might see more coming in then, because there's going to be less issues that would restrict whether or not you can use your property for guest accommodations, because we had special setbacks before, special grade limits, things of that sort that would restrict what lots could do this where there's an existing home involved. But I would anticipate that it's going to be easier for people to get a guest accommodations license when the new text amendments go into force in a couple of months. And yeah, we, as I've said in prior meetings, we have counseled people when they come in for a new home. We counsel them that if you are planning to do a guest accommodations license in the future, then plan for it now and make sure your site is developed in such a manner that you can easily do that when you want to do it. So we have been guiding people in that way.
Thank you. And any questions? Mike has a question.
Hey, Bill, can you explain that email that I sent you, I don't know, a week or two ago, about the lady that had family members coming over and they wanted to camp in the property that they owned across from their house with campers or with regular camps, just tents, and you said that's illegal. Can you explain that a little bit for me?
We are not allowed to camp on vacant property that's zoned agricultural. You can have a RV unit on the property if there's a primary structure on the property, and you can use it for a limited period of time for camping on that developed property, but you cannot do it on a vacant property.
And there's an ordinance that says you can't do that?
Yeah, as I sent to you. Yeah. I sent you the language.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I sent you the language and I don't have it in front of me, so I can't read it, but yeah, it's in the code.
That might be something we need to look at. So
does that mean that on those rare occasions when I have cast a tent on the bluff overlooking the Mississippi River on my property, that was illegal?
Conceivable. Well, if you're casting a tent there, that's not an RV unit. So it could not be converted to a permanent residence, but I'd have to look at that situation and how the language is worded. But it's meant more for recreational vehicles. The language in the code, it relates more to recreational vehicles. So when you're talking about a tent on your property, that might be treated a little differently, especially if it's your property. But this was a situation where it was not necessarily their property. It was an RV. There was nothing else on the property. It's just not legal per our code, and that's what the code says.
So another example, when I hosted people from Ragbri, I have 2 acres, and they came in an RV from Des Moines. And so they put their RV on my second lot. That was illegal?
If it was on your second lot and it's not tied to your home lot, it may very well be illegal. So don't tell me about it.
That, yeah, that might be something we want to look at in the, to somehow, so this case, she had she's a widower, not that it matters. She had her house here and they didn't have room to park. She had her kids, I think she had 7 kids. And so they were all coming over to celebrate something and there wasn't room on her property, but they owned, actually it's an abandoned rock quarry, I think, but it's zoned ag. And they just wanted to pull in there with their campers and she wanted to check and Bill's like, nope, that's illegal. And I was like, maybe.
Well, I'm reading from the code. So yes, it is illegal currently.
Right.
Yes.
Maybe we should look at changing that code that somehow allows temporary camping.
It should be consecutive days, probably.
Well, and there is, as I stated, if you look, it's hard to find it in the code and I can always find it tomorrow and send it out, distribute it to the board. But you are, if you have your residence on the property, you can use an RV for lodging for a limited period of time. I can't remember what the code specifically states, but for a developed property, you do have the ability to do it for a limited period of time, I believe. But it's very limited, but it's not intended. RVs are not intended to be permanent dwelling units, so that's why that restriction is there, from what I understand. It obviously predates me.
Yeah, and like I said, Bill is doing, that's what the ordinance says, he's doing fine, great job. That's something we might want to look at, just, I mean, use the one that we have already for residents and tweak it for nearby, just, and I don't want permanent RVs either, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to get direction from the board to do that.
Yeah, so is that something we can put on the agenda to discuss in the future, Diane?
It might be something we'd need to forward to the zoning board because it would end up being a text amendment, wouldn't it, Bill?
Yes, it would end up being a text amendment at that point.
They need some.
But we would need the board to authorize the planning commission to move forward with it, just like we did with the other text amendments. If the majority of the board wishes to move in that direction, then we would take it to the planning commission for consideration, but we would need to get the direction from the majority of the board to do that. Just like we did with the past text amendments.
So your report was on the agenda, but for us to be able to take any action to move this to the county board for referral to the zoning board.
It's not on the agenda, so you can't really do that, I don't believe. Angie's the better one to weigh in on that, but this was not an agendized item.
No, but we could put it on our future agenda.
Exactly, and then do the referral there.
In practice, if a person had their family come with an RV, we are not going to send.
We react based on complaints.
Be discussing it.
I would not have been aware of the situation Mike referenced. I was only aware because he contacted me. We react based upon complaints.
Well, thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the report from Northwest Illinois Economic Development. Thank you, David. If you look in your packet. Oh,
Are you still there, Bill?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I'm just curious, have we taken care of that problem on Union Road?
The campground?
Yes.
She has submitted a very lengthy letter to me disputing everything in the violation letter. So I'm having to go through that in detail and then go back to her again and continue on it. So we are continuing to work on it. But she's being pretty obstinate about it, as you know.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Bill, would it be fair to say that the portion of the code that you guys are just getting done talking about would probably be one of the things that would address this problem that LaDon's talking about?
Well, what LaDon's talking about, what she's doing is a formal campground, which is a different animal, because she has multiple campground sites on the property. So it would technically need to go through a special use permit process for a legal campground and then need to be licensed by the state of Illinois. I think if you have more than 3 campsites, you need to be licensed through the state of Illinois Department of Health as well. But it's a different issue that LaDon's talking about. She's actually doing an active campground.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Bill? Thank you very much, Bill. We'll move on to David.
Hello. That was a lot. Thanks for having me. Last month it was a little bit slow. I was away for a week on vacation, so the report isn't as extensive as prior months, but we did have quite a interesting mix of things happening. One thing that we've been working on for the past several months was developing a new AI agent for our organization's website. And I'm excited to say that it has been live for about 2 weeks now. It's going to be learning over the months as we reteach it things. So as programs and incentives that have been plugged into it need to be updated, say an application has changed, we can teach it to ignore the old information. Here's the new information. We put in multiple programs, information about all of my organization's members, information from state of Illinois programs, workforce development tools, how do you do an apprenticeship, where can I get a commercial loan, what is the tourism economy of Galena look like? Throw those ideas, those questions into it, and it's going to take what we ingested into it and give you a return that I think is quite interesting and uniquely accurate. So this is a way for the organization to be able to give a first layer of response to an inquiry that's looking for resources. Again, this is out there on our website, so it's working 365, 24/7. And as things change, we reteach it. We have a service line agreement with the provider to help us with triage should anything go wrong with it. But we are quite proud of this, and it's been a board priority for the last number of months.
It's very user friendly. You know how you go to a website and you can't figure out what category do they put it under? And if you just try it out, it's really fun. You could just put in about anything that pops up.
But please, if you play around with it and you see an issue, just tell me, we can correct things. It's taken what are documents, the revolving loan application. So the one that was new, that was approved, that's what it ingested. So if anybody is looking to do a business in Joe Daviess County, what business resources are available to me, it's going to say that. It's going to say work with Highland Community College on workforce development, programs for your workers. It may tell you to work with Business Employment Skills Team to develop an apprenticeship program. It will give you information on all my members because they're all connected into the agent. So this is for the organization, a pretty extensive tool that we're putting out for the community. And it knows the state stuff too. So enterprise zone details, it has the current applications for our enterprise zone applications. So all that's been built into it and, some other, quality of life type things that are pertinent to economic development inquiries. So there, I just want to point out there has been some transition with the presidency at Highland Community College. Chris Kaburski, who was the president of Highland, has stepped down now. Jamal Scott is their new president. He's been there for several weeks now. We have 463 of their 3,768 students from the county going to Highland. So a large percentage of their student class is coming from Joe Daviess County. So they're a foundational member of. So Highland has 3,768 unduplicated students as part of their class of 2026. Of that, 463 reside in Joe Davies.
We just asked him that very question today.
Yeah.
So this was-
What you do?
Can you have the?
Yeah, so it's actually, did I put it in? I think it may have been, it is attached in my report, a report from Chris Kaburski that was given to me on her last day. I sat with breakfast with her and Dr. Scott over in Stockton. And he was taking over the next day officially. He'll be coming on as Chris's replacement next month to my board. You know, Highlands had a seat on the board for many years, so we're looking forward to working with him and, you know, making sure that, you know, the Joe Davis kids needs are met, you know, when it comes to partnering with Highland where we can. So she did encourage me to give that report out to those that would be interested in, you know, say conversations about, you know, what is Highland doing in Joe Daviess County? So they are supporting 463 of our kids, our young adults, or our older adults too. You know, some of these numbers, I believe, might be reflective of continuing education programs. If you want to, you know, get more in touch with, you know, Highland about, when it comes to enrollment, you know, and certificate programs, but we do quite a bit with their business institute as well. You know, we are routinely partnering on
I think they're looking right now,
bringing services to the
from
county.
our conversation with him today, is looking for some satellite offices, locations in the western side of the county. I think probably those 437 are mostly on the east side of the county. And they're looking right now to advance that and try to get some satellite locations on the western side of the county.
One of the things that LaDon asked Dr. Scott was what could the county do to help them become more of a presence? So you and I just talked last week and we talked about ways to try to market the programs that we have. Would that be something that we could partner with you to maybe try to get something out there? I was waiting for you to do your presentation, your report, but to maybe talk about, you know, PR pushes and things like that, since we are talking about the budget right now, things that could support, you know, the programs and economic development. But is that something?
Absolutely, and I'll give you a real specific example of what we plan to do with Highland next year. I know I'm gonna have a budget for our Build It, Grow It entrepreneurial boot camp. We've been running it successfully for number. We want to do something. We want to do something on human resources. And so Highland, through their business institute, actually has curriculum specific to many number of HR focused tips and tricks, resources, whatever you want to call it, that could be melded into what we want to do with Build It, Grow It. So what I'm planning to do with my budget is supplement the enrollment for, say, at minimum 18 students. Our Build It, Grow It classes go between 30 to 40 given a year, but we end up, you know, year to year graduating half of our enrollees. So if I put it right around 20, that will stay within my current budget and be able to give a 5 to 6 week boot camp on HR tools for small business to what I feel will probably be an interested sized audience. So if we had more money at Northwest, you know, we can grow programs like that and deliver more of our scheduled programming, our annual programming. We can just grow our current programming, which includes things like an annual boot camp.
When were you planning on sending your funding request?
It's on my calendar to look at on Thursday.
Okay.
I got the email. Yeah. I know. It's kind of a rinse and repeat from year to year.
I think you have a week's grace though.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask for more. You know, things have only gotten more expensive, and Northwest Illinois Economic Development is a member-based organization. I'm not tax funded in any way, so we exist because of member contributions, and I'm planning to, when we start our 2027 asks, to ask everybody to please do at least some sort of increase to keep pace with costs. So we can't digress the organization, we can only maintain or grow current level of services.
I have a question, and I'm not sure if you have the answer for this, but in the Highland report, there are students who are dual credit, and then there's also a section on College Now. Are College Now students, high school students who are just earning college credit for that class?
I'm not sure, you'd have to ask
Okay,
Kyle.
okay.
Yeah, I have the report that should be in the packet, that is a one pager.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how specific and granular it gets,
Yeah, okay.
but it's a good starting point of conversation, whatever that number is, that's a large number.
Well, the reason I ask is because dual credit programs, there's a lot of colleges that don't accept that college credit if they also got high school credit. But if it's like the PSEO program in Iowa, they get college credit, and there's usually articulation agreements with programs.
This is their all registered students report.
Yeah, okay.
I know there was at least one student from Warren that when she graduated from high school, she also had an associate degree from Highland.
And Highland did sign agreements with many colleges to have the articulation agreements. They continue to add to those.
You were talking about outreach program from Highland. Highland was running a campus at the old Elizabeth High School. And before that, they had a nursing program in East Dubuque many years ago.
It was not Highland that pulled out of those programs. It was the districts. Those districts said that they didn't have physical space enough. And also, Highland was trying to secure local teachers to teach those classes, and because of the requirements from their certification, you know, the requirements are pretty high. When student count, classroom count gets so low, it's not cost effective. Sometimes there were classes that were 7 students and less, so it had to be a decision made.
Yeah. The point there would, when I'm making, it was possible years ago.
Mm-hmm. And they are working with those other ways. They have a industrial mechanics series that they're putting out right now. We help market that to our manufacturers, whether that's of interest to them, that's for them to decide. But they do quite a bit of curriculum outreach that touches the business community, leveraging organizations like ours. They send similar communications to, peers of Northwest. I will quickly mention, because it was talked about a moment ago, that the Village of Stockton is currently in conversations with the Northern Illinois Enterprise Zone about an expansion to potentially put forward, at minimum, site parcels that are in subdivisions. So they're looking to do housing projects, leveraging the ability of saying to a developer, look, you have enterprise zone immediately available to you to build one house or a series of homes. But it will be done through the program that is the enterprise zone. So the zone that Stockton is eligible to apply to for the boundary expansion is through Greater Freeport Partnership. Andrea Schultz Winter, who's the director of GFP, and I have been in conversations with the village. They're ongoing. There was a conversation today about procedures with how it would go if they were to formally put in an application.
They'll need a 3-foot strip to the nearest current.
Yep. So they run the little feeder strip in order to map it into the large spider web. So we're trying to encourage them in the same request to consider the industrial entities that are currently in Stockton so that their immediate or future plans that the village is aware of can be coupled with the application for housing sites. So either it's all together or phased. The village is really seriously looking at making that tool immediately usable in Stockton for housing and hopefully industrial too. And Andrea has been a really great person to work with in the process. So a lot of credit goes to Andrea, who's come to meetings over at Village Hall and answered several emails for the mayor and trustees.
I know that enterprise zone has been reluctant to give us stuff. What are will it happen to Stockton?
I don't think there's been so much reluctance as there hasn't been anybody with a proposal that, that got through the small hoops they have to do to get there. From my understanding, I've only been representing for about 1.5 years now, but
they want to make the tool eligible for a developer to decide whether they want to use it or not. They're just looking to give options.
Is there a hesitation sometimes because they have to pay prevailing wage?
That's the program. If you don't like it, you don't need to apply to it. That's what I tell people, it's, here are your options. Here's your list. Look at these things. That's my recommendation to you based on your project. And you have to, give things that are immediate as well. To do an application for this will take months. So it is something that you also plan to, overlap with, say your push for an industrial park, Stockton. That would be a next phase of the expansion. But they want to just, if they can just do it with an application, have it as a leverageable tool to a developer.
the Freeport Enterprise Zone has a limit of about 43 square miles. And I think they're 24, 25, something like that. And they can get an expansion on it if they use up all those acres.
All right, so real quickly, I'll just touch on a few more things. At our Manufacturing and Trades Day event, which is our workforce development annual event with, several dozen businesses, and it involves all the high schools of Joe Davies and Carroll. At that event in October, we're going to be debuting a new job shadow program that we're finishing up the documents for. So it'll be a scenario where when a student is 18 years of age, they're coming out of high school, they can work with their principals, their teachers, their counselors to take a slot from the Northwest Illinois Job Shadow Program and then be placed in one of our members' places of business. So potentially, if the county would be interested in being a job shadow host, you could be on the list for really an 18-year-old as a young adult to consider doing a half-day shadow at. You have any number of departments where somebody could, sit with, several staff people. So that's going to be the opportunity that we're going to be announcing formally in October. But we've had consultations with Galena High School, BEST, as well as Highland on how to create this program around my organization. And so we're going to be excited to bring that forward here this fall. I already mentioned our Build It, Grow It program. That's going to be focused on HR for small business. So even though we haven't had a lot of events, in the last, few months, we have a lot that is being planned for, the coming fall and winter.
With that job shadow program, should we send information to the transit department and the health department? Those are two ideal places for.
I'll be working with my contacts with our 69 businesses that are, part of our membership. So, for an organization, this brings our members' potential workforce. Job shadow experience is not to be laughed at. It's something that a student or somebody that's in a career change can put on their resume or talk about in an interview to document that they actually should be considered, a viable candidate to a hiring manager. So, these are things that, that have expectations of not just the participant, but also to my members that are wanting to participate. There's going to be some.
Earlier fans had watched Selena command the Houston Astrodome with confidence and energy. The open casket removed any.
Please remove your open casket.
Only weeks earlier, fans had watched Selena command the
And
Houston.
I'll just end question, but I do want to mention that Black Hawk Hills Regional Council had their generational housing study come out a number of months ago, but they're going to be taking the implementation ideas of that study forward to the communities that were a part of that. And there is a date that's coming up where I believe it's going to be at the Galena Public Library, if I'm not mistaken.
5:30 to 6:30. 5:30 to 6:30. I think it's September 3rd. Oh,
And I'll take any questions.
Hey, David, the money that the county gives to Northwest, that's basically just for putting all these programs on, correct? So then you're kind of basing your budget off of that and you're getting funding elsewhere. Is that correct?
All contributions go into one operational fund that supports payroll and programming. And so our board approves our annual budget, which is, it's private. If you want to request the budget, that can be made into a request for the board to consider to give out. But, all dollars, whether it comes from a private or a public business, those contribution amounts are noted on our website. The county is listed as a top tier member, but all dollars, go to support staff, payroll. It goes to support our team of contractors, which we have several of, either that do weekly or monthly tasks or are on call. And then it goes to all the programming. So Build It, Grow It, Manufacturing and Trades Day. We're squeezing in the job shadow thing because it's really just staff hours once it's in place. And it would be done over the summer when it's kind of slow with meeting requests. So we're trying to maximize our work throughout the year so it's more steady. So we're a small but mighty organization. We leverage all the county programs, all the state programs that we know.
Jake, I encourage you to become a member because it is a membership organization and supports what we believe in, knowing that members have priority with the website and contacts with other members. David has special programs for the higher level donors, but it's really a good organization to be a part of.
That's just how we were set up back in 2008. We've always been member funded.
Oh, one more question on that. Back in 2008, I mean, when you first started, what kind of budget, and maybe you don't know off the top of your head, but I mean, I'm assuming you were probably trying to forecast.
Our most senior current board member is our chairman, Bill Jenke. And we were formed in 2008, and Bill just told me the other day, I think he said he came on in 2000 and was it 13 or 14? So he, I believe, is the most tenured board member. He has a couple filing cabinets. If you want to go to his house in Lake Carroll, I'm sure he would entertain you for a long afternoon.
And just a little piece of history, we used to employ economic development director. We had a salary and benefits that we paid someone here. We don't obviously do that. What? Janet Anderson, Pat Lights and Pie. Not sure which one was.
And that's
last,
how
but
the county became a member at the level that you are at.
I guess point being that salary and benefits were quite a bit more even back then than our annual contribution, so.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions from people on Zoom? I don't see any hands raised here in the room. Not hearing any, I'll go on the LRA monthly report is just really what we heard last month from Steve Kiefer. They're involved in a lot of projects. And I just put together some history, so there wasn't any need to put that into the packet. They do meet on a monthly basis, and you can see their information on their website. The Economic Development Fund financial reports, Angie pulled together and she talked about before. As we look at these now, do you have any questions? Is there anything that you would like to see us share with you, Angie?
Just showing you where we are financially.
Thank you much.
Looks like we have about 96,000 out in loans, plus the 12,000 tonight. Would give us about 108. Ballpark, just kind of guessing through the numbers.
And you can see that none of the cannabis money has started filtering in yet. So we figured we wouldn't see that until about September, probably.
Well, that'd be a-
It's a monthly payment from the Department of Revenue. So the way the resolution reads is that the first 600,000 goes into the bond repayment fund, and then the next 150,000 is split 50-50 between economic development and the general fund. No, I'm sorry, the bond repayment fund. Anything above and beyond that goes into the general fund.
And being a
Right.
state organization, I'm sure the payments are in arrears.
No, I mean, we're always 3 months back because by the time they collect it and then, but we're running at about 65 to 70,000 per month. So.
When we gave out the first first time home buyer, we used it as a PR piece. There was a photo and article in the paper. Do we want to do something like that to show our interest in helping young people?
Absolutely.
Well, that's exactly what David and I talked about. That would be something that potentially we could ask Northwest Illinois Economic Development to help us with. And perhaps that's something that you want to set money aside for PR pushes, for some marketing. Whether it be, I don't know. I mean, we would leave it up to them, but when you're talking about parceling out money for economic development, maybe that's something that you want to think about.
It is something that he has the skills for PR and putting out the right type of wording. And it starts to multiply, I suppose, if we look at whatever we do to help economic development and using that as a method to put a good positive look to it. Would you like to speak to that, David?
Well, just like you need Visicolina to market your tourism to make it look right and get it to the right audience, you need to do the same thing to the economic development audience. We're the interface for that. To do a mail campaign, if we wanted to send this out bulk mail, I can tell you how much it would cost you. just to send it, print it and send it. It doesn't include the staff time it takes to lay it out. You have to have the correct imagery, that you have correct rights of permission for to be used in a marketing piece, which is not an editorial use. So we have that familiarity and, library to put together mail campaigns. Our lists are current, and, they're not cheap, even if, you use an affordable printer, which, we've priced out numerous times. We use one in Platteville. Good relationship with them, but, to do a mail campaign, $2,000. That's.
Yes, I was thinking more in terms of a press release.
And that's getting to a mailing list of, what's our current, like, I think we're at 1,700, our mailing list.
I think this kind of filters into what's going to be discussed at ICTC tomorrow night, and that's public outreach. Everybody gets their information in different ways. Press release is great if you get the paper, or if you check the website. A mailing might be good for the persons that are just relying on mail.
You have to do all.
Right. I mean, you got to have a smattering of everything, perhaps. So if you were interested in a PR push like this, then maybe you want to set aside some of this budget money in publications or, postage, publishing, whatever we can, utilize a line there.
If I might add, if you were to want to do something more with that, it might be a independent contractor that the county starts employing to do the same voice throughout all your departments when it comes to your social media pages, and get some standardization, some true branding of what the county's public voice is when it comes to all your platforms and your campaigns. We can do a little bit of that. Obviously Visit Galena is doing a little bit of, much of that, especially when it comes to tourism, but, these are your outlets, and, we can work whatever angles you want. We just need to, make sure that we're keeping current with your priorities.
It was interesting to hear Jake say that social media is a good venue for information for him. And I noticed the new PR person at Highland is using social media quite a bit. So it does make sense to have some consistency and look at things. So maybe if that's something that could go on the agenda for the other group.
That's already on the agenda for tomorrow night. There's a public communication and social media policy that's on for review and recommendation. Because of that, messaging staying consistent, one-way communication with us being local government. If you happen to look at the sheriff's Facebook page, for instance, there is not conversation on there. It's a way to put information out there. It does not engage conversation.
Moving on then, if citizen comments is next on our agenda. We have some people on Zoom, so I want to give an opportunity. I don't know if we had Dacia, Jake.
Yeah, I'll go. One thing I have kind of heard here tonight was that we really respect and appreciate everything Northwest Illinois Economic Development does for us, Blackhawk Hills. And with that being said, as we talk about how we're trying to promote the same things from the county side going forward, it seems like we're all rah until until we got to put some sweat in the game. What it feels like from what I'm hearing. Yeah, we have some programs in place, but we don't really want to push them, it sounds like. But yet we still want to push what we've already started, which have been good things. And, you know, when Mike asked for more money, you know, yeah, it's 250,000. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of money. But when we do have, you know, I'm using his numbers of $1 million surplus every year, you know, it's yeah, it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, it still is, but we have the money there, and we can still say no to projects that we're looking at. But right now, we sound like we don't want to even entertain the idea of looking at these projects. We don't have money in place to even say, well, that's something we could actually do right now. And I think that's what some of us are asking for is we need to have the funds available one way or the other to at least look at these programs, because right now we're just kind of like, nah, we got other people that want to do this or can do this, but you know, but we're not going to stand behind it. It's just that's the perception I kind of feel from the rest of a lot of the board members. It sounds like. The other thing, you know, Northwest Economic Development, we talk about entrepreneurship, all these young kids. We want those people to stay here. Well, why are we not another avenue for them to say, hey, let us help you get started? You know, that's what we're trying to do is keep people here, and we don't want to do that. At least that's what it's coming off as. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Jake. There's another Highland T. Highland. Doesn't look like that person's on mic. Anyone else have a comment? Oh, we can go around the room here. Where should we start? John, would you like to start? Any comments on the table? LaDon.
Good.
Not good.
Yeah, I attended the East Dubuque TIF meeting, that annual meeting. And one of the things the East Dubuque is looking for, they have 3 TIFs of the downtown, the 35, and the US 20. And the TIFs are going to be coming to an end. The first one will end in 2030, another one in 2032, and another one in 2034.
They can extend those, can't they?
Yes, but they need other government entities to support their extension in order for them to get the extension. And I'm trying to put that on the record that they were hoping that the county would buy in to give an extension. East Dubuque has over $1 million right now for TIF things. They are probably one of the best funded TIFs in the area. One of the projects that they're looking at is to put 30 new homes on the hillside overlooking the city. It's going to be high-end housing on the edge, and then they're looking to put more low-income homes in the middle. And they have already met with the developer to get this started, and they're looking to put some of that $1 million into that project.
So they were talking about the infrastructure needed for it, because I was thinking they already had that up there.
What's an open field up there right now? There was horses up there when I first came to town on that field.
It would be something to learn more about.
I hope we do extend the TIFs. I asked when I was mayor and you guys did, so. And I know John and I don't want to speak for John, but we went to see the Eastview mayor and stuff, and what they're doing with their TIF is absolutely amazing. And I hope, John's point is perfect. I hope that's something that we could help fund with that loan program. So, again, I said enough. There's a lot of county board members that want to engage in economic development. I hope we can find a way to do it.
Does it sound like you'd like a invitation to hear? Have them at a meeting?
I don't think they're ready at this point. I mean, it's a couple years off, but I'm trying to get it on the record that they're looking for for county support to do it.
Thank you. The city administrator was going to be coming to talk to us anyway about how they approach developers and bankers and communication. So maybe we could still issue another invitation that would combine communications with that.
Sure.
The possibility. Looking now for,
Move for adjournment.
thank you.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, I didn't give Mike a chance to, did you want to talk for committee members' concerns?
I did.
Okay, okay. So it's been moved and seconded for adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Time is 8:13.